In series reaction right here, we're talking about the Ole Miss series win over the number 2 ranked Vanderbilt Commodores here in Oxford. We won 13-10 today. Home run slugfest on Friday. Vanderbilt, I think it's 7 home runs yesterday. Before we get into that, though, I do want to tell you about the big push for the Ole Miss Athletics Foundation. It's the Vault Society. What's that? Well, it's a 5-year commitment of support. Membership starts at $5K a year, and there's a benefit chart on the site. We'll tell you that in just a second. All gifts to Ole Miss between now and June 30th will receive triple points. Red points are non-deductible and go towards priority seating. Blue points are 90% tax deductible and go towards parking and non-home ticketed games, postseason bowl games, neutral site. We got a game coming up on Labor Day that kind of fits that bill. But you can check out more information at the Vault Society at give2athletics.com. Again, that is give2athletics.com. Also, I want to tell you about the rebelwalk.com. Evelyn and her team do a fantastic job. The show tonight is an example of the staff members and the expertise that they can lend to your enjoyment of covering or following Ole Miss sports. Think of it as a subscriber level experience for no money. All of the investment you have to do is your time, and it's well worth it. So go check them out at therebelwalk.com. I'm here with Chris Muller. We're here to talk about the big series win. The math has changed for hosting and everything else. How you doing, Chris?
Doing great, Stephen. Obviously, awesome day in Oxford today. Rebs came through, so really happy about that. Took the series from number 2 Vanderbilt, which is something we really needed, but kind of didn't expect. So especially with Gunner going down earlier in the week, really interesting week for Ole Miss baseball fans. Had a little bit of lows earlier in the week with Gunner going down, and then obviously we ended the week on an extreme high. So very excited about that.
Yeah, and like I said, we talked earlier about the math changing, but the big thing about this season was the Friday night Doug Day win. 3-1 over Kumar Rocker and the boys that really set the tone, because any path to winning the series against Vanderbilt had to have a win against either him or Jack Leiter.
Right, and I think that Doug was obviously the best candidate to get the win. Doug's always he's just gonna go out there and perform really, really well, and he showed that again on Friday night. Pitched 7 innings, threw 10 strikeouts, held Vanderbilt to the single run. It was a solo home run. Like I've said before on this show, solo home runs they don't kill you as bad. The bases are clean. I think it was the first batter up in the 7th inning, so the bases were clean, and it's just start the inning basically back over again with a run on the board. And so no harm, no foul on some of those solo home runs. When it gets to today, like when the Vanderbilt kid hit the grand slam, just kind of puts a little sting in your stomach and just doesn't feel really good. Where the solo home runs, yeah, it's a run, but it's just like any other run, and the slate's pretty clean.
Yeah, I think during this whole SEC slate this year, this is the 3rd or 4th grand slam hit by an opponent against Ole Miss with the potential to really hurt. This is the first one we've survived.
Yeah, obviously the one last week with Frizzell really, really killed us in the 7th inning of that game. But I think you're right. There has been a number of grand slams that have really come back to haunt us in that regard. Some other stats from this weekend that I was really impressed with. Phenomenal freshmen. You look at the 3 freshmen, especially today, that really contributed at a really high level. Jackson Kimbrell bridged the gap to Doherty and Broadway today. And so I was really impressed by Jackson. It was his longest outing of the year with 3.2 innings pitched. I think he allowed 2 runs. But he allowed us to get through those middle innings and get to the back of the bullpen where we could even think about bringing Broadway in. Obviously, we brought Doherty in for the 8th inning, and then we handed the ball off to Broadway in the 9th. And Broadway allowed a run, but really we had a big enough lead where it didn't really matter that much. Also, the other 2 freshmen that I want to highlight, obviously, TJ McCants continues to have a great look at the plate. Home run on Friday night, 2-run home run on Friday night. That got us off to a 2-0 lead. Went 5 for 12 on the weekend. Obviously, it's taken over that center field spot for us. And, where would we be without TJ McCants? And, that's a scary thought to think about. And so TJ's really contributed at an extremely high level, especially in SEC play. And then Jacob Gonzalez contributed his 2 home runs today. So really happy with Jacob's offensive performance, 4 for 9 on the weekend, as well as he just continues to show on the field what a phenomenal shortstop he is.
Yeah, and I think I mentioned it on Twitter that Jacob Gonzalez's production and his numbers are on par with Greg Kessinger and Zach Cozart as a junior. I mean,
Yeah, I saw that earlier in the week. That's a
yeah.
great comment. Um, if he continues to develop, it's going to be really special to see what he's able to do at Ole Miss.
Yeah, he's a chance to be one of the best to ever come through here.
Yeah, I don't think of any. I can't think of anybody else that is, like you said, has been able to produce offensive numbers at this point in time in his career. So I'm really happy with Jacob. You talked a little bit last week about getting in the weight room, putting on a little bit more weight. I think I can see that a little bit. The more strength he gets, the further he's going to be able to hit the ball. And if he's hitting two home runs against Vanderbilt on a Sunday, I just can't wait to see what he does in his sophomore and junior years. Other players that had a huge day today, Hayden Dunhurst, obviously that home run in the sixth inning was just a tank job. He watched it fly a little bit. It seemed like the Vanderbilt pitcher didn't like that too much and tried to send us a little bit of message after that. I'll give him a little bit on that. I mean, Hayden did hang out at the plate a little bit longer than it seemed like even the umpire wanted him to. It looked like he enjoyed that home run a lot. I asked him post game what he said to himself after the home run. He said he didn't say anything, but it either looked like a wow or an O or something like that. So good for that guy, able to enjoy the home run, as well as just the defensive production that he continues to have. He threw out at least one Vanderbilt. He threw out 2 Vanderbilt base runners this week. One was overturned on replay. One held up on replay. So, but his defensive prowess behind the plate is just phenomenal. The Kyle Peterson and Dave Neal were commenting today about how Ole Miss just continues to produce defensive catchers and shortstops. And like I said, Jacob Gonzalez and Hayden Dunhurst, just really 2 really great players. Another guy that I want to talk a little bit about is Kevin Graham. Really a quiet guy, and we really don't hear a lot about him. He's not a flashy guy. But 44 straight games on base. So if we think about that over the course of the season, that's really phenomenal. He also had the home run in the 3rd inning, I believe, on Friday night to get us to extend the lead to 3 runs. So really happy about that. And then Kevin Baker, obviously today in that 10-run 2nd inning, had a 3-run homer. So that was really cool to see as well.
Yeah, the 2 freshmen, Gonzalez is leading the team right now in batting average. Tied for second is TJ McCants. He's tied with Kevin Graham at the moment. So it shows how they're just progressing and doing this in an SEC slate. It's incredibly impressive. And the math has changed a little bit, a lot because of them, the way they're playing. But our path to hosting and I think we're in the tournament as it is now. But they said 4 wins were necessary before the weekend, and that was assuming that hopefully we could get 1 against Vanderbilt. So that means winning the midweek and winning 1 at Georgia gets us a hosting, according to Chad Smith.
Yeah, I think we're squarely in the tournament. So let's even take that out of the equation. The question is now whether we host a regional or don't host a regional. I think after today, if the NCAA tournament baseball committee had to vote on whether we were going to get a hosting spot or not, we absolutely would be squarely in that hosting spot. I think Oxford is just way too attractive from a site location, but as well as from our overall resume. I mean, you look at us, we took Arkansas to the edge on Sunday, that series. I realize that they're not going to look, all the way through each and every person's resume to see what they did on a Sunday or a Saturday or a Friday. But that Arkansas game goes the other way on that Sunday. And, our ranking is we're probably top 10 at this point in time. But to beat a number 2 team, that speaks volumes. And traditionally, NCAA tournament selection committees remember things that you do late rather than things that you do early. So to have this Vanderbilt win on our resume this late in the season, I think it speaks volumes about our ability, and even, like I said, without Gunner, even our ability to take a series from a number 2 Vanderbilt team without having one of our aces in the mix just speaks volumes to the team's ability to reload and to refocus on things.
Yes, and I think I saw a projection of the SEC tournament that, as of right now, our single elimination game, they have us matched up with LSU. So that's a chance for us to kind of even up that series and the damage done earlier in the year.
Yeah, those Tuesday games of the SEC tournament are really weird in the fact that we're probably going to throw a Josh Mallins type pitcher. Obviously, Doug's not coming back after throwing on Thursday of this week to start a game on Tuesday of the SEC tournament. So it's just really weird. It'll really depend on what LSU does over against A&M next weekend to see where they fit into the NCAA tournament, to see if they're still fighting for their tournament life. There's a lot of baseball to be played. Mike Bianco said in his post game that pretty much you can throw that bracket out the window because there's so much baseball still left to be played. It'll be interesting to see what happens the first 2 games of series next week, and to see where we lie on Saturday morning going into Saturday afternoon.
All right, now looking ahead to midweek. I believe we play UT Martin on Tuesday. Who do you see throwing in that game, and who do you want to see held in reserve since it's an early start to the weekend series?
Yeah, I think Josh Mallins starts again. I don't see any reason why Coach Bianco would go away from that. Obviously, we want to load up on next weekend, get 2 or 3 from Georgia. So, I think just the usual suspects. I don't think you're going to see Broadway. I doubt you see really anybody that pitched this weekend. So I don't think you're going to see Miller. I doubt you'll see Doherty. So I think you're going to see a lot of players that are held out in reserve. It's just going to be your usual Tuesday night game. I think that our offense should be able to beat UT Martin. So I'm not really concerned about the pitching as much. Just let our offense do what our offense does, and we should get out of there with the win.
Yeah, and real quick, today the lineup change was really effective. It seemed to spark McCants and Gonzalez simultaneously moving them. Is that something you anticipate moving further down the road as we get into SEC tournament time and into the regional?
Well, we were pretty successful today, so I really don't see that changing up. I think that it's a good reward for TJ to move him up in the lineup and move him into that 1 hole. And then to move Gonzalez back, as Mike explained it, it gives Jacob an opportunity to drive some more runs in if TJ and Peyton are able to get on base early in the game and do that kind of early on in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. TJ moving to the first can actually do quite a bit of damage there. Are you back, Chris?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Real quick before we get out, should we be a little bit concerned about the slump from Peyton Chatagnier?
Yes and no. It's the best answer I can give you. I think that he's hitting the ball really hard. The exit velo, I think, was measured yesterday when he grounded the double play in the first at 105. So I think he's still hitting the ball really hard. He's just hitting the ball at people. The coaching staff does not seem to think that there's any issue with his approach or anything else like that. So I think it's just he's got to bust out of a slump.
Yeah, he's kind of the straw that stirs the drink. Whenever we're going and he's going good, he's going to affect the players around him more so than others might affect them. We have a solid offense with or without him, but when he's clicking, we are really clicking.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that the interesting thing about this team, it just seems like there's so many players that are able to contribute offensively that if one guy's down or having a slump on the day or on the weekend, then everybody else is going to pick them up. You look at, like I talked about the freshmen, but you look about, Kevin Graham, you look Hayden Dunhurst, you look Cale Baker today with the home run. So up and down the lineup, I think there's people that can contribute and can continue to pick up a slumping guy like Peyton.
Yeah, and this team is at its best when it just really just doesn't care. whenever there's adversity came, you saw that today. There was nothing really for them to lose. They came out this weekend and they played loose, and they were very successful doing it, as opposed to last weekend whenever they kind of played tight.
Yeah, and I think that's just a mentality of the coaching staff. If you watch the TV broadcast this weekend, you'll notice that Bianco shaved his beard, which I thought was kind of interesting. He was asked about that in post game, why he did it, and he said, "Well, I just kind of needed a clean start after the A&M series, after having sat out on Wednesday night." So I think that's just the overall mentality of the team is they're really loose. If you talk to any of the players, I had an opportunity to visit. I think I talked a little bit about it last week on the podcast. I had an opportunity to visit with Cody Adcock quite a bit during batting practice last week at A&M, and just the overall mentality is just really loose. The guys in the bullpen are really, they'll talk to you before the game. They seem to enjoy playing the game, and it doesn't seem to get to be too big for them, which is something that I really appreciate, and I think it helps them get through the down times.
All right, Ole Miss takes the series from Vanderbilt. The much-feared Doors go back to Nashville, losing the series 2-1. For Chris Muller, I'm Stephen Willis, and thank you very much for joining us today. We'll be back tomorrow with the Palmcast, the preview on Thursday, and Chris will be back next Saturday to talk about the Georgia series reaction. But like I said, for Chris, I'm Steve. Hotty toddy.
Hotty toddy.